The courtroom was colder than it should have been. 68-year-old Dorothy Washington sat across from her own son, fighting not just for a house, but for the life she built with her bare hands. After 40 years of marriage, after raising Michael in the very home her husband constructed brick by brick, she never imagined she'd one day be accused of being confused, so they could take everything from her. But what her daughter-in-law didn't know was this: Dorothy came prepared. And even from beyond the grave, her husband was ready to testify.
The courtroom was colder than I expected. Or maybe it was just me, 68 years old, sitting across from my own son, about to fight for the house I built with my bare hands. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in that sterile white glow that makes even the living look half dead. My hands rested on the wooden table in front of me, fingers laced together to keep them from shaking. I'd painted my nails that morning, a deep burgundy that William always said looked regal on me. Even now, 3 years after burying him, I could hear his voice. "Dorothy, you wear that color like a queen." I needed to feel like a queen today, because sitting 40 feet away, on the other side of this courtroom, was my daughter-in-law Amber, looking like she'd just stepped out of a fashion magazine. Navy blue Chanel suit, hair pulled back in a sleek bun, designer bag, Louis Vuitton, the one with the gold clasp, sitting on the table like a trophy. She was scrolling through her phone, not even pretending to care that we were about to go to war over my life. My son Michael sat beside her, 30 years old, wearing a suit I'd never seen before. Probably Amber bought it for him with money from selling my grandmother's china. He wouldn't look at me. Hadn't looked at me in weeks. I touched the pearl necklace at my throat, the one William gave me for our 35th anniversary. His voice played in my head like a recording. "For the woman who built this home with me, don't you ever forget what you're worth." I hadn't forgotten. That's why I was here. The bailiff called the courtroom to order, and I sat up straighter. My lawyer, Samuel Brooks, Sam as I'd called him for 40 years, leaned over and whispered, "You ready, Dorothy?" I nodded. My purse sat on my lap, and inside it, wrapped in a velvet cloth, was a USB drive, black, smaller than my thumb. On it was something Amber didn't know existed, something that would change everything. Amber's lawyer, a sharp-featured white woman named Patricia Richardson, stood up, heels clicking against the hardwood floor like a countdown. She smiled at the judge, the kind of smile that says, "I've already won." She didn't know what I had. None of them did. Judge Sandra Mitchell, a black woman about 55 with silver-rimmed glasses and an expression that gave nothing away, looked down at the case file. Then she looked at me. Our eyes met for just a second, and I saw something there. Not pity, but recognition. Like she knew exactly what kind of fight this was. "This is case number 24CV8847, the judge said, her voice clear and firm. "Washington versus Washington. Matter of property ownership and financial elder abuse." Michael flinched at the word abuse. Good. He should. Amber didn't even look up from her phone. I took a deep breath, the kind that fills your lungs all the way to the bottom, the way my mama taught me to do before I had to stand up and speak in church. "When you're scared, baby girl," she'd said, pressing that little gold cross into my palm the day I left Alabama for California, "you breathe deep, and you remember God is watching. He don't miss nothing." I touched that cross now. It hung on a chain around my neck, right next to William's pearls. Mama had been gone 20 years, but I swear I could feel her hand on my shoulder. I wasn't afraid anymore, because I had something they didn't expect. I had the truth, and I had my husband's voice from beyond the grave. People always ask me how I got here, how a woman who spent 45 years working as a nurse, who raised a good son, who never hurt nobody, how does a woman like that end up sitting in a courtroom across from her own child? Let me tell you exactly how. My name is Dorothy Mae Williams, Dorothy Mae Washington now, though I've been a widow for 3 years. I'm 68 years old. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1956, right in the middle of everything. Mama used to say I came into this world angry, screaming so loud the nurses heard me down the hall. "That's 'cause you knew what kind of world you were coming into," she'd tell me. "And you were mad about it." She wasn't wrong. I grew up in the civil rights era. I was 9 years old when 4 little girls got bombed in the 16th Street Baptist Church. I knew one of them, Carol Robertson. She was in my Sunday school class. After that, Mama never let me out of her sight. "This world," she'd say, clutching me close, "ain't safe for black babies. You gotta be twice as smart and 3 times as careful." So I was. I graduated high school in 1974, top of my class. Got a nursing scholarship to a program in Oakland, California. Mama cried when I left, but she was proud. She gave me that gold cross necklace, the one I'm wearing right now, and said, "Don't you ever take this off, Dorothy. God is always watching. He sees everything, even when people try to hide." I worked as a nurse at Oakland General Hospital for 45 years. Night shifts mostly because they paid better. I saw things in that hospital that would break most people. Babies born too early, old folks dying alone, young men shot up over nothing. But I also saw miracles. I saw life. I saw people fight. And I learned something important. When someone tries to take what's yours, you fight back. You don't lay down. You don't accept it. You fight. That's what I'm doing now. I met William Washington at a church picnic in 1978. I was 22 years old, wearing a yellow dress my mama sent me from Alabama, and he was standing by the potato salad table looking lost. "You need help finding something?" I asked. He looked up. Lord, he had the warmest brown eyes I'd ever seen, and smiled. "Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one of these dishes is safe to eat. I'm new here." I laughed. "Where are you from?" "Louisiana. Just moved here for work. I'm a carpenter." "Well, Mr. Carpenter from Louisiana," I said, handing him a plate, "you stick with me. I'll keep you safe." And he did. For 40 years, that man stuck with me. We got married 6 months later in a little ceremony at the same church. No fancy wedding. We didn't have money for that. We rented a 1-bedroom apartment in West Oakland, shared a bathroom with 3 other families. We cooked on a hot plate William fixed up himself. But we were happy. God, we were so happy. William worked 2 jobs, carpenter during the day, security guard at night. I kept my nursing shifts and started baking on the weekends, selling pound cakes and sweet potato pies to folks in the neighborhood. Every dollar we made went into a coffee tin we kept in the back of the closet. "Someday," William would say, counting those bills before we went to sleep, "we're going to have our own house, with a garden, with space for our kids to run. A place that's ours." It took us 14 years. 14 years of saving every penny. 14 years of saying no to movies, to new clothes, to vacations. 14 years of working until our hands hurt and our backs ached. But in 1992, we bought a piece of land in Greenwood Valley, a neighborhood where black families were building homes, where kids could play in the streets without fear. William built our house with his own hands. I mean that literally. He and a crew of men from church. Wyndon was there, and old Mr. Patterson and Jerome, who'd been a builder back in Mississippi. They laid every brick, hammered every nail, painted every wall. I was pregnant with Michael when they built the 2nd floor. 5 months along, belly just starting to show, and I was out there mixing cement, carrying supplies, making lunch for the crew. "Dorothy, you're supposed to be resting," William would say. "I'll rest when we're done," I'd tell him. The house was finished in 1994. 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Hardwood floors William installed himself. A kitchen with windows that caught the morning sun. A backyard where William planted rose bushes. Red ones, yellow ones, white ones that bloomed like snow. Michael was born on January 15th, 1995, in the master bedroom of that house. William painted stars on the ceiling of the nursery so our son would never be afraid of the dark. That house wasn't just a building. It was our blood, our sweat, our dreams made real. And now somebody was trying to take it from me. I liked Amber when I first met her. I really did. Michael brought her home for dinner in 2016. She was 28 years old. Pretty girl, smart, worked in marketing. She showed up in a blue dress, carrying flowers, smiling that smile that lights up a room. "Mrs. Washington," she said, "Michael's told me so much about you." "Call me Miss Dorothy, baby," I said. We don't do formalities in this house. I cooked that night. Fried chicken, collard greens, macaroni and cheese, cornbread, sweet potato pie. The kind of meal William used to beg for. Amber ate like she'd never tasted food before. "Miss Dorothy," she said, her eyes actually tearing up, "this is the best meal I've ever had. My own mama never taught me to cook like this." My heart opened right then. This girl seemed hungry for something more than food. Hungry for family. For belonging. "Well," I said, patting her hand, "you're family now. I'll teach you everything." And I did. For the first year, Amber came over every Sunday. I taught her how to season cast iron, how to make gravy from scratch, how to tell when cornbread's done just by the smell. We'd sit at my kitchen table, the same table William built in 1994, and talk about life, about love, about her job, stress, about wedding plans. Michael proposed to her on Christmas 2016, right there in my living room in front of the tree. When she said yes, she turned to me with tears running down her face. "I never had a mother figure," she whispered. "Thank you for accepting me." I hugged her tight. "You're the daughter I never had, baby." I meant it. The wedding was beautiful. I made her dress myself, stayed up 3 nights straight sewing lace and pearls by hand. The night before the wedding, Amber came to my house, crying. "What's wrong, honey?" I asked. "I'm just so happy," she said. "I'm marrying the man I love, and I have you. I have a family now, a real family." I gave her my grandmother's silver bracelet that night, the one my grandmother wore when she escaped sharecropping in Mississippi, the one Mama gave me when I left Alabama. "This is yours now," I said. "It's been in our family for 3 generations. You're the 4th. She cried harder. "I'll take care of it. I promise." Looking back now, I wonder if that was the moment it all started. When she saw what I had. When she started calculating what it was worth. But back then, I believed her tears were real. William died on March 12th, 2022. Massive stroke while he was up on the roof, fixing some shingles. He fell 10 feet, hit the driveway. Died before the ambulance even arrived. I didn't get to say goodbye. 1 minute I was inside making lunch, and the next minute there was pounding on my door. Mrs. Rose from next door, screaming. I ran outside and saw him lying there, eyes open, but empty. And I knew. I knew before I touched him. I knew before the paramedics said the words. He was gone. The funeral was packed. William was loved in this neighborhood. He'd fixed roofs, built decks, repaired front steps for half the families on the block, never charged hardly anything. The church was standing room only. Pastor Thompson gave a beautiful eulogy. Michael cried through the whole thing. Amber held his hand. After everybody left, I sat alone in our bedroom, the bedroom we'd shared for 40 years, and I couldn't breathe. The silence was so loud it hurt. That's when Michael and Amber started coming around more. "Mom, you can't stay here alone," Michael said 2 weeks after the funeral. "This house is too big. What if you fall? What if something happens?" "I'm fine, baby," I told him. "Been taking care of myself a long time." But he kept pushing, and then Amber started in. "Miss Dorothy," she said one day in May, sitting at my kitchen table with concern all over her face. "We're worried about you. This neighborhood is changing. It's not as safe as it used to be." "I've lived here 30 years, I said. "I ain't scared of my own street." "But you're here alone, in this big house. We were thinking," she glanced at Michael, "maybe we could move in, just temporarily, just until you're back on your feet." I should have said no. I should have listened to that little voice in my head that sounded like Mama. "Baby girl, when somebody offers to help you, make sure you know what they really want." But I was lonely. God, I was so lonely. The house felt like a tomb without William. Every room echoed with his absence. "Temporary?" I said. "How long?" 6 months, Michael said quickly. "Maybe a year, just until we save up for our own place." I looked at them, my son and his wife, looking so earnest, so concerned, and I made the biggest mistake of my life. "Okay," I sassy said. Temporary. They moved in 2 weeks later. That was May 2022. It's May 2024 now. They never left. The first 6 months were okay. Amber still had her marketing job. She'd leave early, come home late. Michael kept his job at the tech company downtown. I had my routines, cleaned in the mornings, watched my stories in the afternoon, tended William's rose bushes in the garden. But then in December 2022, Amber quit her job. I'm burnt out, Miss Dorothy, she said. I need time to find myself. Find yourself? I said. Baby, you're 28 years old. You got plenty of time to find yourself after you've built something. She just smiled. I need a break. Michael says it's okay. He can support us for a while. A while turned into 6 months, then a year and a half. And while she was finding herself, she was spending. New furniture appeared in my living room, modern stuff, all sharp angles and gray fabric. This old stuff looks dated, Miss Dorothy, she'd say, and my grandmother's floral couch would disappear. Pictures came down. William's and my wedding portrait, the one that hung in the living room for 25 years, got moved to my bedroom. So you can look at it more privately, Amber said. Family photos got replaced with abstract art she bought online. The dining room table William built with his own hands. Too scratched up. She tried to sell it on Craigslist. I caught her just in time. I started feeling like a guest in my own house. But it was small things, little changes. I told myself to be patient. They'd leave soon. They'd find their own place. Then came March 15th, 2024, the day everything changed. Amber had 4 friends coming over for breakfast. She told me the night before, Miss Dorothy, the girls are coming over tomorrow morning. Can you make something nice? Not would you mind cooking? Not could you help me? Make something nice, like I was the help. But I did it, because that's what I do. I cook, I serve, I try to keep the peace. I got up at 6 in the morning and made a spread. Pancakes from scratch, turkey bacon, cheese grits the way William liked them, fresh fruit salad, orange juice, coffee with cinnamon. The friends arrived at 9. Ashley, Keisha, Nicole, Tanya, 4 women in their 30s, dressed in expensive workout clothes, carrying designer purses. They settled into my living room like they owned it. I served breakfast, smiled, played the gracious hostess. Then I went to the kitchen to start cleaning up. That's when I heard it. The kitchen window was open, the one that faces the dining room. I was washing dishes, and their voices carried clear as day. Ashley said something about a new restaurant. Keisha was talking about her vacation to Cabo. And then Amber's voice cut through. Girl, I don't know how much longer I can take this. That old woman only cooks greasy soul food, like we still living in 1950. They laughed. My hands stopped moving in the soapy water. Nicole, well, at least you're not paying rent. More laughter. Amber, girl, this house is worth almost $1 million. We're sitting on a gold mine and she's living here alone like it's some museum. When it's mine, I'm renovating everything and selling it. We could buy a condo downtown with the profit. When it's yours? Tanya asked. When she's gone, Amber said. Like it was nothing, like I was already dead. Or when we convince her she needs to be in assisted living. Either way. I stood there at my own kitchen sink in the house my husband built, and I couldn't breathe. That old woman, greasy soul food, when she's gone. I dried my hands, walked back into the dining room, smiled. More coffee, ladies? They barely looked at me. I collected the plates, went back to my room, closed the door, and something inside me that had been cracking for 2 years finally broke clean through. I didn't cry. I'd run out of tears somewhere between burying William and watching my life disappear piece by piece. Instead, I started looking. That afternoon, while Amber was at the gym and Michael was at work, I went into the office they'd claimed as theirs, the office that used to be William's workshop room. I told myself I was just straightening up, but I knew better. I was looking for proof that what I heard wasn't just spite, that it was a plan. I found it in the desk drawer. Property valuation report, $875,000. brochures for nursing homes, Golden Oaks Senior Living, Sunrise Assisted Care, 3 different facilities, all with pricing circled in red pen. And then, in Amber's handwriting on a sticky note attached to one brochure, Option 1, tell her it's for her health. Option 2, wait until she's frailer. M agrees. M agrees. Michael agrees. My son, my baby boy, who I birthed in the bedroom upstairs, who I raised in this house, who I worked 3 jobs to put through college. He agreed to put me away. I took pictures with my phone, hands shaking so bad the first few came out blurry, but I kept trying until they were clear. Then I kept looking. Bank statements, an account I'd never seen before, joint account, Michael and Dorothy Washington, except I'd never opened a joint account with my son. Withdrawals, $2,500, $3,000, $1,800, $4,200, over $8,000 in 2 months. Memo line, home repairs, but nothing had been repaired. The roof still leaked in the back bedroom. The porch steps still creaked. Nothing had changed. Where did the money go? I looked deeper. In a folder marked estate sales, I found something that made my stomach drop. Listings, online sales, pictures of my things, my mother-in-law's china set, $3,200, sold. The antique dresser from my grandmother, $2,800, sold. William's tools, the ones his father gave him, $1,500, sold. Page after page after page. My family history, sold to strangers on the internet. And at the bottom of the folder, a bank statement for an account in Amber's maiden name. Amber Taylor. Balance, $127,350. I sat there in that office chair, William's chair, and I finally understood. This wasn't about helping me. This wasn't about concern for my safety. This was theft. Systematic, calculated theft. They were stealing my life while I cooked their breakfast. I called Samuel Brooks that afternoon. Sam had been William's friend since high school. He'd been at our wedding. He'd handled all our legal papers, the deed to the house, our wills, everything. He was family, as much as anyone without our blood could be. Sam, I said when he answered, I need to know if my own son can legally take my house from me. There was a long pause. Dorothy, what's going on? I need to know, I said, my voice not shaking even though everything inside me was, because I just found out they've been planning it for months. Come to my office, he said, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Bring everything you found. The next morning I told Amber and Michael I had a doctor's appointment. They barely looked up from their phones. Sam's office was downtown, in an old building near the courthouse. I'd been there 100 times over the years, signing papers for the house, updating our wills, getting advice when William wanted to start his own contracting business. But this time felt different. Sam was waiting in his office when I arrived. 62 years old, gray hair, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He'd put on weight since William's funeral, but he still had that steady presence that made you feel like everything would be okay. Show me what you found, he said. I pulled out my phone, showed him every picture, the nursing home brochures, the bank statements, the online sales listings, the forged signature on the joint account paperwork. His face got darker with each photo. Dorothy, he said finally, this is elder financial abuse. This is fraud. This is... He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. This is serious. Can they take my house? Not legally. The deed is in your name. William made sure of that in his will, but they're trying to get around it by establishing that you're incompetent to manage your own affairs. That power of attorney you never signed? That's their tool. He showed me a document I'd never seen before. Power of attorney, signed by Dorothy Mae Washington and witnessed by someone I didn't know. I never signed this, I said. I know. Look at the signature. I looked closer. Dorothy Mae Washington. My middle name is Mae, M-A-E, not May. Whoever forged my signature spelled my own name wrong. They're sloppy, Sam said, which is good for us. But Dorothy, I need to know. What do you want to do? We can handle this quietly, or we can fight. I thought about William, about 40 years of building a life together, about sleeping alone in our bedroom every night, missing him so much it physically hurt, about watching my son lie to me, about that old woman. I want them out, I said. I want my house back. I want my son to see what his wife really is. Sam nodded. Then we're going to court. 2 days later, Amber's lawyer called. Patricia Richardson, big firm downtown. Sam told me she cost $500 an hour. Where did Amber get money for a lawyer like that? I asked. Probably from selling your grandmother's china, Sam said grimly. Richardson offered a settlement. I'd sign over the deed to Michael and Amber. They'd pay me $200,000, and I'd move to a nice retirement community. $200,000 for a house worth $875,000. Tell them I'll see them in court, I said. And tell them to bring receipts, because I have mine. The week before the trial, I couldn't sleep. I'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling, touching William's side of the mattress where it was still dented from 40 years of his body. I'd pray. I'd talk to him like he could hear me. I'm scared, baby. I'd whisper into the dark. What if I lose? What if they're right and I am just a confused old woman? No answer, just silence. But one night, 3 days before the trial, Sam called me at 11 p.m. I found something, he said. I need you to come to the office. Now. I drove downtown in my nightgown with a coat thrown over it. Sam was waiting with his office door open, light spilling into the hallway. I went through William's safety deposit box, he said, the one at the bank. He left me a key and a letter with instructions. If you were ever in trouble, especially regarding the house, I should open it. He handed me an envelope. William's handwriting on the front. For Dorothy. My hands shook as I opened it. Dorothy, my love, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And if Sam gave you this letter, it means someone is trying to take what's ours. I saw how Amber looked at our house, how she asked questions about property values, how she measured rooms like she was already planning changes. I made a video. It's on the USB drive in this envelope. It's my testimony, recorded when I was of sound mind and body. It states clearly, this house is yours. Only yours. Fight for it, Dorothy. Fight like you fought for everything we built together. I'll be watching from heaven, cheering you on. Forever yours, William. Inside the envelope was a small black USB drive. Sam plugged it into his computer. William's face appeared on the screen, sitting in his workshop, wearing his reading glasses and his favorite flannel shirt. My hand went to my mouth. My name is William Thomas Washington, he said on the video. Today is January 15th, 2022. I'm recording this because I need to make something very clear. I watched the whole thing. 15 minutes of William explaining our history, how we built the house, how it belonged to me and me alone, how he'd seen warning signs about Amber. When it ended, I was crying so hard I couldn't breathe. He knew, I whispered. He tried to protect me even after dying. Sam's eyes were wet too. This changes everything. With this video, they can't claim you're incompetent. They can't say you don't understand what's happening. Your deceased husband is testifying for you from beyond the grave. I touched the screen where William's face had been. I won't let them win, baby, I said. I promise. The night before the trial, my cousin Francine came over. Francine was 65, lived in Sacramento, but she drove down when I told her what was happening. She'd known William since we got married. She'd been at every family gathering, every holiday, every crisis. We sat in my kitchen at midnight, drinking tea. What if I lose? I asked her. You won't? But what if I do? What if the judge thinks I'm just a bitter old woman making trouble? Francine reached across the table and grabbed my hand. Hard. Listen to me, Dorothy Mae Williams Washington. I watched you work 3 jobs to build this house. I watched William break his back laying every brick. I was there. This is your house, your life. And that video? That's William himself telling you to fight. I'm so scared, Fran. Good. That means you're human. but scared don't mean quit. You hear me? Tomorrow you walk into that courtroom and you show them who you are. Not some confused old lady. A woman who survived Alabama, who made it through nursing school, who raised a good man, even if he forgot it for a minute. You show them, Dorothy. I squeezed her hand. What if Michael never forgives me? Then he never deserved you in the first place. We sat in silence for a while. Then Francine said, You remember what your mama always told you? About that cross necklace? I touched it. God is always watching. He sees everything, even when people try to hide. That's right. Tomorrow the truth comes out. All of it. And God's going to be watching when it does. The morning of the trial, I woke up at 5:30. Couldn't sleep anyway. I took a long bath, put lotion on every inch of my skin, the cocoa butter kind William used to say made me smell like heaven. I put on the burgundy dress, the one William loved, the one that made me feel like royalty. I did my makeup carefully. Not too much. I didn't want to look like I was trying too hard, but enough to show I had pride, enough to show I wasn't defeated. Pearl necklace from our 35th anniversary, Mama's gold cross, grandmother's ring on my right hand. I looked at myself in the mirror, the same mirror I'd looked in for 30 years, and I barely recognized the woman staring back. Not because I looked old, but because I looked strong. We got this, baby, I said to William's picture on the dresser. You and me, like always. I drove to the courthouse alone. Sam had offered to pick me up, but I needed the time to myself, needed to pray, needed to remember who I was before I walked into that room. The courthouse parking lot was already filling up when I arrived at 8 a.m. I sat in my car, the same Toyota Camry William bought me in 2010, and watched people walk in and out. Lawyers in expensive suits, people crying, people laughing. The whole spectrum of human drama playing out in a government building. Then I saw them, Michael and Amber getting out of a black Mercedes I'd never seen before. Where did that car come from? Whose money bought it? Amber looked perfect. White suit, hair pulled back. That Louis Vuitton bag I'd seen her buy online. $3,500, charged to the joint account that had my name but not my permission. Michael wore a navy suit, new shoes. He looked like a stranger. They walked toward the courthouse entrance, and right before they went inside, Amber looked back, scanning the parking lot, looking for me. Our eyes met across 50 feet of asphalt. She smiled, small, confident, like she'd already won. I didn't smile back, just held her gaze for 5 long seconds. Then she laughed. I could see it, even though I couldn't hear it, and turned away. That's when I knew. She really thought she was going to win. She thought I was just a scared old woman who'd break under pressure. She didn't know me at all. I got out of the car, smoothed my dress, checked my purse one more time. The USB drive was there, wrapped in William's handkerchief, right next to my wallet. The courthouse steps seemed longer than they should be. My knees aren't what they used to be, and I took my time. Sam was waiting at the top. You look beautiful, Dorothy, he said. I look ready, I replied. We walked inside together, through the metal detectors, up the elevator, down the hallway that smelled like old wood and floor polish and the weight of 1,000 verdicts. Courtroom 4. Sam held the door open for me, and that's where this story really begins. Where I walked into that cold room with the fluorescent lights and the wooden benches and my son sitting 40 feet away, unable to look at me. Where I sat down, touched Mama's cross and William's pearls, and waited for the truth to finally come out. Because they thought I'd stay silent. They thought I'd disappear. They thought wrong. Judge Mitchell's gavel came down at 9 o'clock sharp. This court is now in session. Case number 24CV8847, Washington versus Washington. Will counsel please identify themselves for the record? Sam stood first. Samuel Brooks for the plaintiff, Dorothy Mae Washington, Your Honor. Then Patricia Richardson rose, and I swear the temperature in the room dropped 5 degrees. Patricia Richardson of Richardson and Associates for the defendants, Michael and Amber Washington, Your Honor. The judge nodded, made some notes, then looked up over her glasses. Ms. Richardson, you may proceed with your opening statement. Richardson stood and buttoned her suit jacket in one smooth motion. She walked to the center of the courtroom like she owned it, and when she spoke, her voice was honey-sweet with just enough concern to sound genuine. Your Honor, this case breaks my heart. It truly does. I kept my face blank, but inside I was already angry. Here it comes, I thought. What we have here is a loving family, a devoted son and his caring wife, trying desperately to protect an aging mother who can no longer safely manage her own affairs. Mrs. Dorothy Washington is 68 years old. She's been a widow for 3 years. She lives alone in a large house in a neighborhood that has, unfortunately, become increasingly unsafe. Lies. The neighborhood was fine. Mr. Rose still walked his dog at night. The Rodriguezes still left their bikes unlocked on their porch. Richardson continued, pacing slowly, her heels clicking. After her husband's tragic death, Mrs. Washington began exhibiting troubling signs. Forgetfulness, confusion, leaving the stove on, forgetting to pay bills, getting lost driving to places she'd been going for years. I felt Sam tense beside me. None of this was true. Not one word. My clients moved in out of love and concern, not to take advantage, to take care of. They pay for groceries. They handle the bills Mrs. Washington can no longer manage. They maintain a home that was falling into disrepair. My hands tightened on the edge of the table. William's house was never in disrepair. I kept it perfect. Every corner, every surface, exactly as he left it. Richardson picked up a document. The power of attorney in question was signed willingly by Mrs. Washington on October 3, 2023, during a moment of clarity. She understood exactly what she was signing, a simple document to help her son manage household expenses. But now, Richardson's voice took on a sad tone. Influenced by outside parties who perhaps see an opportunity to exploit a vulnerable elderly woman, Mrs. Washington has decided to turn against her own family, to make wild accusations of theft, to claim she never signed documents that clearly bear her signature. She turned to look directly at me. This isn't about property rights, Your Honor. This is about a confused, grieving woman who needs help, not a courtroom battle. We ask the court to recognize that my clients have acted only out of love and to allow them to continue caring for Mrs. Washington in the home she can no longer safely maintain alone. Richardson sat down, looking satisfied. The courtroom was quiet. I glanced at the judge. Her face gave nothing away. Then Sam stood up. He didn't walk to the center of the room like Richardson had. He stayed right where he was, one hand resting on the table, looking directly at Judge Mitchell. Your Honor, he said, his voice clear and strong. Opposing counsel just told you a story. A nice story about loving children and a confused old woman, but it's fiction. He picked up a folder. What I'm going to tell you are facts. Facts supported by documents, by witnesses, by evidence that cannot be disputed. Fact 1. Mrs. Dorothy Washington is a retired nurse who worked for 45 years at Oakland General Hospital. She managed complex medical cases, supervised staff, handled life and death decisions. She retired 3 years ago with full mental faculties, which she retains today. Fact 2. The house in question was purchased in 1992 and built in 1993 to 1994 by Mrs. Washington and her late husband, William Washington. The deed is solely in her name. It has always been solely in her name, by Mr. Washington's explicit instruction in his will. Sam's voice got harder. Fact 3. The defendants did not move in to help. They moved in to position themselves to inherit, and when inheritance seemed too far away, they began systematically stealing. I heard Amber whisper something to her lawyer. Richardson's face remained neutral, but I saw her jaw tighten. We will prove, Sam continued, that the defendant Amber Washington created a secret business to sell Mrs. Washington's family heirlooms. We will show receipts totaling over $127,000. We will demonstrate that the power of attorney Mrs. Washington allegedly signed bears a forged signature, a signature that misspells her own middle name. He paused. Let that sink in. And, Your Honor, we will present evidence that even in death, William Washington tried to protect his wife from exactly this scenario. Sam sat down. Judge Mitchell wrote something in her notes. Call your first witness, Ms. Richardson. The defense calls Dr. Kevin Morrison. A man in his 40s walked to the stand. White coat, stethoscope around his neck like a prop. He had that easy confidence of someone who thinks being called doctor means people will automatically believe him. After he was sworn in, Richardson smiled at him. Dr. Morrison, how do you know Dorothy Washington? I've known her about 2 years through Faith Community Church. I've observed her on numerous occasions at services and social gatherings. And in your professional opinion, have you noticed any cognitive decline? Sam was already standing. Objection. Dr. Morrison is a chiropractor, not a neurologist or psychiatrist. He's not qualified to diagnose cognitive conditions. Judge Mitchell looked at Morrison. What is your medical specialty, doctor? I'm a chiropractor, Your Honor. Then you're not qualified to provide expert testimony on cognitive function. Sustained. Ms. Richardson, rephrase. Richardson's smile didn't falter. Dr. Morrison, as someone who has known Mrs. Washington socially, have you observed any concerning behaviors? Yes. Last month at a church potluck, she asked me the same question 3 different times within 10 minutes. She seemed disoriented, forgetful. I was concerned. I wanted to laugh. I'd spoken to this man maybe twice in my entire life. Once when he sat next to me during a visiting preacher's sermon. Once when we both reached for the same serving spoon at Easter dinner. That was it. I didn't even know his first name. Richardson nodded sympathetically. What else have you observed? She often seems confused about current events, mixing up dates, forgetting conversations, classic signs of age-related cognitive decline. Thank you, Dr. Morrison. No further questions. Sam stood for cross-examination. He didn't look angry. He looked almost amused. Dr. Morrison, how many times have you actually spoken with Mrs. Washington? Morrison shifted. I couldn't say exactly. Several times. More than 5? Possibly. More than 3? I'm not sure. Let me help you, Mrs. Washington keeps a detailed calendar. She has recorded every church event she's attended in the past 2 years. According to her records, you've been at the same event as her exactly 4 times, and she has never had a conversation with you lasting longer than 2 minutes. Does that sound about right? Morrison's confidence was fading. I suppose. So when you say she asked you the same question 3 times, you're referring to what exactly? At the potluck, she asked if I'd tried the potato salad. She asked if you'd tried the potato salad 3 times? Yes. And you were standing at the food table for how long? Maybe 20 minutes? Sam smiled. So over the course of 20 minutes, while dozens of people were coming and going, Mrs. Washington, who was serving food, asked multiple people, including you, if they'd tried various dishes. Is it possible she was simply being a good hostess, not remembering every single person she spoke to in a crowded room? Morrison was quiet. Dr. Morrison, have you ever formally evaluated Mrs. Washington's cognitive abilities? Any tests, assessments, professional consultations? No. Have you ever reviewed her medical records? No. Have you ever spoken to her actual physician? No. So your expert opinion is based on watching her serve potato salad at a church potluck? Objection! Richardson was on her feet. Argumentative. Sustained. Move on, Mr. Brooks. Sam nodded. No further questions. As Morrison stepped down, looking considerably less confident, I saw Richardson whisper something to Amber. Amber's face was tight. The defense calls Keisha Brown. A woman in her mid-30s walked to the stand. Designer workout clothes, hair in a perfect ponytail. One of Amber's friends from the breakfast. One of the women who'd laughed when Amber called me that old woman. After being sworn in, Keisha smiled at Richardson like they were old friends. Ms. Brown, how do you know the Washingtons? I'm close friends with Amber. I've been to their house many times over the past 2 years. Their house, not my house, theirs. And during your visits, what have you observed about Dorothy Washington? She seems very overwhelmed, forgetful, confused about basic things. One time she was making breakfast for us and she forgot to turn off the stove. Smoke was everywhere. Amber had to take over before the house burned down. I felt my face get hot. That never happened. Never. Sam leaned over and whispered, "Don't react. Let me handle it." Richardson continued, "How would you describe Amber and Michael's relationship with Dorothy? They're so patient with her. Amber cooks, cleans, handles everything because Dorothy just can't anymore. They're like her full-time caretakers." "Amber cooks?" I almost laughed out loud. That girl couldn't boil water without burning it. I'd been cooking every meal for 2 years while she sat on the couch scrolling Instagram. "Thank you, Ms. Brown." Sam stood for cross-examination, and there was something different in his posture, sharper. "Ms. Brown, you said you're close friends with Amber Washington?" "Yes, very close." "Would you say you have a personal interest in the outcome of this case?" "I just want what's best for everyone." Sam opened a folder. "Let me be more specific. Did Amber Washington give you a gift last year, in July 2023? Keisha's smile faltered. Yes, a china set from an estate sale. This china set." Sam held up a photo, white porcelain with delicate blue flowers. "My grandmother's china. The set that came from Germany in 1923. The set that was supposed to go to Michael when I died." "I think so, yes." "Did Amber tell you where this china set came from?" "Like I said, an estate sale." Sam pulled out another document. "Your Honor, this is a receipt from an online auction site. It shows that on July 15th, 2023, a china set matching this exact description was sold by a user named Amber Cells for $3,200. The buyer was Keisha Brown." The courtroom went silent. Sam continued, "So Amber didn't give you a gift, did she? You paid her $3,200 for china that belonged to Dorothy Washington's grandmother." Keisha's face went red. "I didn't know." "You didn't know it was stolen property? Or you didn't care?" "Objection!" Richardson was standing. "Your Honor, Ms. Brown is not on trial here." "Sustained. Mr. Brooks, is there a question?" Sam looked at Keisha. "Miss Brown, you testified that you want what's best for everyone, but you're actually protecting the woman who sold you stolen property, aren't you? You're lying to protect your friend and your investment." "I'm not lying." "Then explain to this court how Amber could sell you Dorothy Washington's family heirloom if Dorothy Washington was the confused, forgetful woman you're describing. Because a confused woman would have noticed her grandmother's china missing from her dining room, don't you think?" Keisha opened her mouth, closed it. I don't know." No further questions. Judge Mitchell looked at Keisha with clear distaste. "You're dismissed, Ms. Brown. The court will be forwarding this testimony to the district attorney's office for review." Keisha practically ran from the courtroom. I allowed myself a small smile. One down. "The defense calls Michael Washington." My heart stopped. I watched my son stand up, watched him walk to the witness stand, watched him put his hand on the Bible and swear to tell the truth. He looked at me once, just once, then looked away. Richardson's voice was gentle with him. "Michael, tell the court about your mother. She's a good woman. She raised me right, worked hard her whole life." "And after your father died, how did she seem?" Michael's jaw tightened. "Devastated, lost. Dad was her whole world. When he was gone, it was like she forgot how to function." That was true. I'd been devastated, but I hadn't forgotten how to function. "What kind of things did you notice?" "She'd forget conversations we just had. She'd leave lights on all night. Bills started piling up unpaid. The house was getting harder for her to maintain. Every word was a knife, because there was truth mixed with lies, and that made it worse." "Is that why you moved in?" "Yes. I was worried about her. Amber and I both were. We thought if we were there, we could help, make sure she was safe." "And the power of attorney? Did you discuss it with your mother?" "Yes. I explained that it would just make it easier to handle bills, deal with repair people, manage the house. She understood." I wanted to scream. I never had that conversation. Never. Richardson nodded sympathetically. Michael, do you love your mother? His voice cracked. Of course I do. Then why is she doing this? Why is she taking you to court? I think someone convinced her we're trying to hurt her, but we're not. We're just trying to help. Richardson sat down, looking pleased. Sam stood slowly. He looked at Michael for a long moment before speaking. Michael, look at your mother. Michael hesitated, then turned to look at me. Does she look confused to you right now? No, but yes or no? No. Does she look like someone who can't manage her own affairs? In this moment, no, but it comes and goes. Has your mother ever been diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's, or any cognitive disorder? No, but yes or no, Michael? No. Sam picked up a document. This is your mother's medical record from her physician, Dr. Patricia Rose. It shows she had a complete physical in January of this year. Full cognitive screening. Perfect results. Were you aware of that? No. So your mother is capable of going to the doctor, making appointments, managing her own health care, correct? I guess so. You guess so, or you know so? I know so. Sam's voice got harder. Michael, this power of attorney you claim to have discussed with your mother, when exactly did that conversation take place? I don't remember the exact date. Was it before or after you signed it? Before, I think. You think? I'm not sure. Because according to this document, you signed it on October 3rd, 2023. Can you tell me what you and your mother discussed on that date? Michael went pale. Amber handled most of the paperwork. She said Mom had agreed. So you didn't actually talk to your mother about it? Amber said she did. I didn't ask what Amber said. I asked if you talked to your mother. Not directly, no. Sam let that hang in the air. Then, Michael, did you know your wife was selling your grandmother's belongings? Michael's face changed. Confusion. Shock. What? Your grandmother's china, your father's tools, family heirlooms. Did you know Amber was selling them online? No, that's not... He turned to look at Amber. You didn't. Sam pulled out a stack of papers. Online auction receipts. $127,000 worth of sales from an account in your wife's name. You had no knowledge of this? Michael looked like he'd been punched. No, but you signed off on withdrawals from your joint account with your mother. $8,000 in 2 months for home repairs. What repairs were those, Michael? Amber said the roof needed work. The plumbing, Has any work been done on the house? I thought... Yes or no? Has any work been done? I don't know. Sam's voice gentled slightly. Michael, do you know what your mother's middle name is? The question threw him. What? Your mother's middle name. What is it? May. M-A-E. Sam held up the power of attorney. Then why does this signature say Dorothy May Washington with a Y? Michael stared at the document. I watched understanding dawn on his face. Horror. That's not her signature, he whispered. No, Sam said. It's not, which means you've been participating in fraud, maybe unknowingly, but participating nonetheless. Michael's eyes found mine across the courtroom. In them, I saw everything: guilt, shame, realization, grief. No further questions, Sam said. As Michael stepped down, he tried to walk toward me. I turned my head. Not yet, baby boy. Not yet. Judge Mitchell looked at her watch. We'll break for lunch. Court will resume at 1:30. The courtroom emptied. Sam and I stayed in our seats. That was good, he said. Michael didn't know everything. That helps. He knew enough, I said. My voice was flat. Dorothy, he signed papers without asking me. He let her sell William's tools. He knew something was wrong and he did nothing. Sam was quiet. Then, people make mistakes, especially when they're being manipulated by someone they love. I know, I said, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Sam said, You ready for this afternoon? Because that's when we bring out everything. Rose's testimony, the video, all of it. I touched William's pearls at my throat. Mama's cross. I'm ready, I said, because I was. I'd been ready for this moment since that March morning when I heard that old woman and decided I wasn't going to disappear. I went to the bathroom during lunch, stood at the sink, washing my hands, trying to steady my breathing. The door opened. Amber walked in. We were alone. She didn't say anything at first, just stood at the mirror fixing her lipstick, like this was normal, like we weren't in the middle of a war. Finally, she spoke without looking at me. You know you're going to lose, right? I dried my hands slowly. Is that what you think? I have 3 lawyers. You have Sam and his dusty briefcase. She turned to face me. Even if you win, you lose. Michael will never forgive you for this. Maybe, I said. But at least I'll have my house. She laughed. Your house? That's what this is all about? An old house in a neighborhood that's going downhill? Miss Dorothy, you could take the settlement. $200,000. Live somewhere nice. Somewhere safe. Somewhere with people your own age. You mean somewhere I can die quietly and not be in your way? Her smile faded. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. I heard you say it to your friends. When she's gone, I stepped closer. But I'm not gone, Amber, and I'm not going anywhere. We could make it comfortable for you. A nice assisted living place. You'd have activities, people to talk to. I have a home I built with my husband, a home I earned. That house is going to be Michael's inheritance anyway. Inheritance is given, I said, my voice hard. Not taken, and you're about to learn the difference. Amber's face changed. For the first time, I saw uncertainty. What does that mean? It means this afternoon the truth comes out. All of it, and when it does, you're going to wish you'd left me alone. I walked past her toward the door. Her voice stopped me. I loved you, you know. When I first married Michael, I really did think of you as family. I turned back, looked at her, really looked. Maybe you did, I said. But love doesn't steal. Love doesn't plot to put someone in a nursing home against their will. Love doesn't call them that old woman behind their back. I paused. You might have loved the idea of me. The grandmother figure who'd cook and clean and die on schedule so you could have what's mine. But you never loved me. I left her standing there. When I got back to the courtroom, Sam was setting up a laptop on our table. What's that for? I asked. He smiled. You'll see. Trust me. At 1:30 exactly, Judge Mitchell returned. Mr. Brooks, call your first witness. Sam stood. Your Honor, I'd like to call Rosa Hernandez to the stand. I heard Amber's sharp intake of breath behind me. She didn't know about Rosa, didn't know I'd been planning, gathering witnesses, building my case while she thought I was just a confused old woman. A woman in her 50s walked to the stand. Rosa, my gardener for 8 years, honest, hard-working Rosa who'd never lied about anything in her life. After being sworn in, Sam asked her to state her relationship to me. I am Mrs. Washington's gardener. I take care of her yard every Wednesday for 8 years. And did you continue working for her after Michael and Amber Washington moved in? Yes, until last month when Mrs. Amber fired me. Why did she fire you? Rosa looked directly at Amber. Because I tell Mrs. Dorothy I would testify today. Mrs. Amber said I was not loyal, that I should leave and never come back. Sam nodded. Rosa, tell the court what you witnessed on March 15th of this year. Rosa took a breath. I was working in the backyard, trimming the roses. The kitchen window was open. I heard voices from the dining room. What did you hear? Mrs. Amber talking to her friends. She said... Rosa looked uncomfortable. She said, that old woman only cooks greasy soul food. I don't know how much longer I can take living with her. The words hung in the courtroom. My hand stayed steady on the table. The friends, they laughed, Rosa continued. Then one said, at least you're not paying rent. More laughing. Then Mrs. Amber said the house is worth almost $1 million, that when it's hers, she will sell it and buy condo downtown. And did you see Dorothy's reaction? I saw her through the window. She was washing dishes. Her hands stopped moving. She stood very still. Then she kept washing, but her hands were shaking. Sam walked closer. Rosa, in the 8 years you've worked for Mrs. Washington, have you ever observed the kind of cognitive problems the defense claims she has? No, never. Mrs. Dorothy, she always remembers everything. My daughter's name, my schedule, even my birthday. She never forgets. Thank you, Rosa. Richardson stood for cross-examination. Ms. Hernandez, you were paid by Dorothy Washington, correct? Yes. And you were fired by Amber Washington? Yes. So you have motivation to lie for one and against the other. Rosa's eyes flashed. I don't lie. I am Catholic. I swear on my children's lives. What I said is true. But you're here because you're angry about being fired. I am here because what Mrs. Amber did is wrong. Stealing from an old woman, selling her family's things. This is wrong and I have to say so. Richardson tried a few more questions, but Rosa wouldn't budge. Wouldn't change her story. Wouldn't back down. When she was dismissed, Rosa walked past me and whispered, Be strong, Mrs. Dorothy. I squeezed her hand. Sam stood again. Your Honor, at this time I'd like to present video evidence. A recording made by the late William Washington on January 15th, 2022. The courtroom went completely silent. Judge Mitchell leaned forward. Proceed. Sam opened the laptop, connected it to the courtroom monitor. The screen lit up, and there was William, my William, in his workshop, wearing his reading glasses and his favorite flannel shirt, looking strong and healthy and alive. I heard myself make a sound. Couldn't help it. On the screen, William began to speak. My name is William Thomas Washington. Today is January 15th, 2022. I'm recording this because I need to make something very clear about the house at 1847 Greenwood Valley Drive in Oakland, California. His voice filled the courtroom. Strong, sure, the voice I'd loved for 40 years. This house belongs to my wife, Dorothy Mae Washington. It belongs to her and her alone. I built this house with my own hands from 1993 to 1994. Dorothy worked night shifts at Oakland General Hospital to pay for materials. We saved for 14 years to buy the land. Every brick, every board, every nail. We put it there together. I watched Amber's face drain of color. William continued. Dorothy's name is on the deed. Dorothy's name is on all the documents. By my explicit instruction in my will, this house remains hers until the day she decides otherwise. Not my son, not my daughter-in-law. Dorothy. He paused, took off his glasses. His eyes were wet. I'm making this video because I've seen how our daughter-in-law looks at this property. I've heard her ask questions about market values, about what happens when you're both gone. And I need it on record. If anything happens to me, this house stays with Dorothy. William put his glasses back on, looked directly at the camera, directly at me, across 3 years and death itself. Dorothy, if you're watching this, it means I'm gone, and it means someone is trying to take what we built. My vision blurred with tears. Don't let them, baby. This house is your history, your dignity, your right. You worked for it. You earned it. You fought for everything we had, and you need to fight for this, too. His voice cracked. I love you, Dorothy Mae. I've loved you since that church picnic in 1978. I'll love you until the stars burn out. This house is yours. Don't you ever forget it. The video ended. The courtroom was silent except for the sound of my crying. I couldn't stop it this time. Couldn't hold it in. Sam handed me a tissue. Waited. Judge Mitchell removed her glasses. Wiped her own eyes. When I could breathe again, I looked across the courtroom. Michael had his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. Amber sat frozen, staring at the blank screen. Judge Mitchell spoke, her voice thick. This court will take a 15-minute recess. As people filed out, I stayed in my seat, stared at the dark screen where William's face had been. I'm fighting, baby, I whispered, just like you said. I'm fighting. When court resumed after the recess, my hands had stopped shaking. Something about seeing William's face, hearing his voice, It steadied me, reminded me why I was here. Judge Mitchell looked at Sam. "Mr. Brooks, your next witness?" Sam stood. "Your Honor," I called Dorothy Mae Washington to the stand. This was it, the moment I'd been dreading and preparing for in equal measure. I stood slowly, smoothed my burgundy dress, touched William's pearls, Mama's cross. Then I walked to the witness stand, my heels clicking on the hardwood floor. Not as sharp as Richardson's designer shoes, but steady. "Sure." The bailiff held out the Bible. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?" I put my hand on that Bible and looked him straight in the eye. "I do, so help me God." I sat down. The courtroom felt enormous from up here. I could see everyone, Sam at our table, Richardson and Amber at theirs, Michael sitting with his head still down, the judge watching me with those sharp eyes. And I could see the people in the gallery. Francine, my cousin, in the third row, some folks from church, Rosa sitting in the back, all watching, all waiting to see if I'd break. Sam approached with a gentle smile. "Mrs. Washington, how long have you lived at 1847 Greenwood Valley Drive?" 31 years this October, I said. My voice was clear, stronger than I expected. "Since 1993. And you built that house with your late husband, William?" "Yes." "William was the carpenter. He did the construction with help from friends at church. I worked night shifts at Oakland General Hospital to pay for materials. We built it together, piece by piece. Tell the court about the power of attorney document the defense has presented." I looked directly at Judge Mitchell. "I never signed that paper. That is not my signature." "How do you know?" "Because I write my middle name as M-A-E, May. My mama named me after her sister who died young. I've written it that way for 68 years. That signature on the power of attorney says May with a Y. Someone copied my handwriting but didn't know how to spell my own name." Sam held up the document so the judge could see. "Your Honor, if you'll note line 3, Dorothy Mae Washington." Judge Mitchell examined it closely, nodded. Sam turned back to me. "Mrs. Washington, have you ever been diagnosed with any form of dementia or cognitive impairment?" "No, sir. I had a full physical and cognitive screening in January with Dr. Patricia Rose. All tests came back normal." "Do you manage your own finances?" "Yes. I pay my own bills. I balance my checkbook every month. I've never missed a payment on anything in my life." "Do you have any trouble with daily activities?" "No, sir. I cook, I clean, I drive. I take care of William's rose garden. I volunteer at church every Sunday. I'm living the same life I lived before my husband passed, just without him beside me." Sam's voice gentled. "That must be hard." "It is," I said quietly. "William was my whole world for 40 years. When he died, I felt like half of me went with him. But grieving doesn't mean I'm incompetent. It means I'm human." "Why did you allow Michael and Amber to move in?" I took a breath. "Because I was lonely. Because Michael is my son, and I wanted to help them save for their own place. And because I trusted them when they said it was temporary." "When did you realize things weren't right?" This was it, the part I'd been rehearsing in my head for weeks. "March 15th of this year. I made breakfast for Amber and her friends. I heard her tell them that I was that old woman who only knows how to cook greasy soul food, that she didn't know how much longer she could take living with me, that when the house was hers, she'd sell it and buy a condo downtown." My voice didn't waver, not once. "How did that make you feel?" "Like I was invisible in my own home, like I was just an obstacle between her and my property." "What did you do next?" "I started looking for evidence, and I found it. Nursing home brochures with handwritten notes about how to convince me to go. Bank statements showing thousands of dollars withdrawn for repairs that never happened. Online sales receipts for my family's belongings, things that belonged to my grandmother, to William's parents, to our history." "And you found a secret bank account?" "Yes, in Amber's maiden name, with $127,000 from selling my possessions without permission." Sam showed me a photo. "Is this your grandmother's china set?" I looked at the picture of white porcelain with delicate blue flowers. Yes, that set came from Germany in 1923. My grandmother carried it through Ellis Island when she immigrated. My mother gave it to me when I got married. It was supposed to go to Michael someday. And where is it now? Sold to Amber's friend Keisha for $3,200. Sam showed more photos. William's tools. My mother-in-law's jewelry box. Antique furniture. Each one a memory. Each one stolen. Mrs. Washington, why are you here today? What do you want from this court? I looked at Amber. She was staring at her hands. I want my house back. I want these people out of my home. I want my son to understand what he allowed to happen. And I want my dignity back. Thank you. No further questions. Richardson stood for cross-examination. She had that shark smile on her face, like she was about to go for the kill. Mrs. Washington, you claim you never forget things. Is that correct? No, ma'am. I said I don't have cognitive impairment. I forget small things like anyone. Where I put my reading glasses. What day trash pickup is. Normal things. But you expect this court to believe you remember every conversation, every detail of the past 2 years perfectly? I remember the important things, especially the things that hurt. Richardson paced. You testified that you heard my client say disparaging things about you. But you were in the kitchen, correct? With the water running? How can you be sure you heard correctly? The window was open. The water wasn't running yet. I was just starting to fill the sink. And I heard every word clear as day. So did Rosa, the gardener, who was in the backyard. Rosa Hernandez, who you paid, who was fired by my client and has reason to lie. Rosa doesn't lie. She's a Catholic woman who swore on her children's lives. If you're suggesting she'd risk her soul for me, you don't know her at all. Richardson's jaw tightened. Mrs. Washington, isn't it true that you've been resentful of your daughter-in-law from the beginning? No, ma'am. I loved Amber. I made her wedding dress with my own hands. I gave her my grandmother's bracelet. I called her the daughter I never had. But you disapproved of the marriage. I never said that. You were jealous of the attention Michael gave her instead of you. Something sparked in my chest. Anger trying to rise. I pushed it down. I was happy my son found love. What I'm not happy about is my daughter-in-law selling my dead husband's tools for $500 while planning to put me in a nursing home. You're a widow living alone in a large house. Wouldn't you be more comfortable in assisted living? I looked her dead in the eye. I would be more comfortable in the house I built, the house where my husband and I made a life, the house where my son was born, the house I plan to die in when the Lord calls me, not when someone else decides it's convenient. Someone in the gallery said, Amen. Judge Mitchell's gavel came down once. Order. Richardson changed tactics. Mrs. Washington, you're 68 years old. I know how old I am. Living alone, no family nearby except your son. I have family. I have church family. I have neighbors. I have friends. I have a community that's been mine for 30 years. But you can't take care of that house by yourself. Why not? I've been doing it for 3 years since William died. Lawn gets mowed, bills get paid, repairs get done. Seems like I'm managing just fine. Richardson's smile was gone now. You expect this court to believe you're not lonely, not struggling? I didn't say I'm not lonely. I said I'm not incompetent. There's a difference. Mrs. Washington, isn't it possible you're confused about some of these events? That your grief has clouded your memory? And there it was. The question designed to make me doubt myself, to make me seem unstable. I thought about William, about Mama, about 45 years of nursing, making life and death decisions, keeping patients alive through the night. Ma'am, I said, my voice steady as stone. I spent 45 years as a nurse. I managed ICU patients. I supervised staff. I handled complex medications, emergency situations, trauma cases. I did that until I retired 3 years ago with full honors and a sound mind. I leaned forward slightly. I am not confused about what happened. I am not confused about who I am. And I am not confused about my rights. I'm a 68-year-old black woman who survived Alabama in the 50s, who made it through nursing school when they didn't want women like me there, who worked 3 jobs to build a house, who buried the love of her life and kept going. My voice got stronger. I am not confused. I am not weak. I am not incompetent. I am a woman who knows exactly what was done to her, who has evidence to prove it, and who refused to disappear just because someone found it convenient. The courtroom was dead silent. Richardson stared at me. She had nothing left. "No further questions," she said finally. I stood up from the witness stand, walked back to my table, sat down. Sam leaned over. "That," he whispered, "was perfect." "Your Honor," Sam said, "I have one final piece of evidence. Audio recording, Exhibit C." Richardson was on her feet. "Objection. We were not informed of any audio recording." "It was obtained legally yesterday evening," Sam said. "We filed emergency notice with the court this morning." Judge Mitchell looked at her notes. "I did receive notice. Overruled. Proceed, Mr. Brooks." Sam pulled out his phone, connected it to the courtroom speakers. "This is a recording of a phone conversation between Amber Washington and her lawyer, Patricia Richardson, dated March 1st, 2024, 2 weeks before Mrs. Washington discovered the nursing home plans." Richardson went white. "Your Honor, that's protected by attorney-client. The recording was made by Amber Washington herself," Sam interrupted. "On her own phone's voice memo app. She apparently forgot to delete it. When she sold her old iPhone to a pawn shop last week, the new owner found the recording and, recognizing the address mentioned, contacted Mrs. Washington's attorney. There is no privilege violation when a client records herself." Sam pressed play. Amber's voice came through the speakers, tinny but clear. "So the plan is we get her to sign the house over voluntarily, right? She's old, she won't even understand the paperwork." Richardson's voice. "We need to be careful. If she has any legal counsel, Amber." "She doesn't. She trusts Michael. He'll convince her it's for her own good, that she needs to be somewhere safe." Richardson. "And if she refuses?" Amber. "Then we use the nursing home angle. Get a doctor to say she's incompetent. Shouldn't be hard. She's almost 70. Once she's declared incompetent, Michael has power of attorney, and we can do whatever we want with the property." Richardson. "That's risky. If anyone challenges..." Amber. "Who's going to challenge? She doesn't have anyone. And it's an $875,000 house. I'm willing to take the risk. We sell it, buy our condo, invest the rest. We're set for life." Richardson. "Just make sure Michael stays on board. If he wavers..." Amber. "He won't. He does whatever I say. He feels guilty about his mom being alone, so he'll do anything to convince himself we're helping her." The recording ended. The silence that followed was crushing. I watched Richardson stand up, her face the color of old milk. "Your Honor, I was merely advising my client on legal options." "You were advising your client on how to commit fraud and elder abuse," Judge Mitchell said, her voice like ice. "Ms. Richardson, you're dismissed from this case effective immediately. The State Bar will receive a full copy of this recording." Richardson grabbed her briefcase, didn't look at anyone, just walked out of the courtroom like the building was on fire. Amber sat alone at the defendant's table. No lawyer, no husband. Michael had stood up and moved away from her, face full of horror. "Ms. Washington," the judge said, looking at Amber, "do you wish to make any statement?" Amber stood slowly. Her perfect composure was cracked. "Your Honor, Mrs. Washington is confused. She..." "Sit down," Judge Mitchell said. Amber sat. "I've heard enough. I'm ready to deliver my verdict." Judge Mitchell removed her glasses, looked at the papers in front of her, then looked at me. "This is one of the most clear-cut cases of elder financial abuse I've seen in my 20 years on the bench." My heart started pounding. "The evidence shows systematic theft, fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to defraud an elderly woman of her property and independence. The defendants have shown a pattern of manipulation, deceit, and callous disregard for Mrs. Washington's rights and dignity." She put her glasses back on. "On the matter of the power of attorney, I find that the document presented by the defense is fraudulent. The signature is forged, as evidenced by the misspelling of the plaintiff's middle name. This document is void and has no legal effect. I felt Sam's hand on my shoulder. On the matter of property ownership, the house at 1847 Greenwood Valley Drive belongs solely to Dorothy Mae Washington. The deed is in her name. Her late husband's will explicitly states this. His video testimony, made while of sound mind, confirms this. No transfer has occurred, nor will occur without Mrs. Washington's explicit written consent before independent legal counsel. Amber made a sound, a small whimper. On the matter of financial exploitation, I find that Amber Taylor Washington did systematically sell Dorothy Washington's property without authorization. The evidence shows sales totaling $127,350. Judge Mitchell's voice got harder. Amber Washington is hereby ordered to 1. Return all remaining property in her possession to Dorothy Washington immediately. 2. Pay full restitution of $127,350 within 90 days. 3. Vacate the premises at 1847 Greenwood Valley Drive within 72 hours. 4. Have no contact with Dorothy Washington except through legal counsel regarding the restitution payment. She paused. Additionally, I am ordering a criminal investigation into fraud, forgery, and elder financial abuse. The district attorney will receive complete copies of these proceedings, including the audio recording of Ms. Richardson's conversation with the defendant. Amber was crying now. Quiet, desperate tears. Regarding Michael Washington, while I find you were manipulated by your wife, you failed in your duty to protect your mother. Your negligence enabled this abuse. You will also vacate the premises within 72 hours. However, given that you were unaware of the full extent of your wife's actions, I'm not ordering criminal charges at this time. Michael's shoulders shook. Judge Mitchell looked at me one last time. Mrs. Washington, this house is yours. No one can take it from you. This court stands with you. The gavel came down. Court is adjourned. I didn't move. Couldn't move. The room was spinning. Sam hugged me. You won, Dorothy. You won. Francine came running from the gallery, tears streaming. Oh, honey. Oh, baby girl. People from church surrounded me. Congratulations. Praise gods. Hugs and tears and joy. But I felt empty, hollow. I'd won the house, but I'd lost my son. Saturday morning, moving day. I sat in my living room watching through the window as a truck pulled up. Michael and Amber's things were already packed, had been since Thursday night. The front door opened. Michael came in, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 3 days. Mom, can we talk? I'd been dreading this, wanting this, fearing this. Sit down, I said. He sat in William's old chair, the one Amber had tried to sell last year, but I'd hidden in the garage. Mom, His voice broke. I'm so sorry. I'm so ashamed. I don't even know what to say. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. Saw the little boy who used to fall asleep on my lap during church. The teenager who brought me flowers on Mother's Day with money from his first job. The young man who cried at his father's funeral. Did you know? I asked. About the sales? About the plan? No. I swear, Mom. I didn't know about the china, the tools, any of it. Amber handled the estate sales, she said. I thought she was selling old furniture we didn't need. I didn't know. But you knew about the nursing home brochures. He closed his eyes. She said it was just research, in case you ever needed it. I believed her because I wanted to believe her, because believing her was easier than admitting I'd married someone who could do this. And the power of attorney? She told me you'd signed it, that you were having trouble managing bills and wanted help. I never thought to check. I trusted her. He opened his eyes. I should have trusted you more. We sat in silence. I'm divorcing her, he said finally. Papers are already filed. Good. But I know that doesn't fix this. Doesn't fix what I let happen. No, I said. It doesn't. Can you ever forgive me? I thought about that. Really thought. Baby boy, I said slowly. You're my son. You'll always be my son. I carried you for 9 months. I raised you. I love you. That doesn't just stop." His face filled with hope. "But," I continued, and the hope dimmed, "love isn't enough right now. Trust has to be earned back, and that's going to take time. A lot of time." "How long?" "I don't know. As long as it takes." I stood up. "You can call me once a month. We'll talk, but I'm not ready for more than that yet. Can I come for dinner sometimes?" "Someday, when I'm ready, when you've shown me you've changed." I walked to the window. "I need to heal, Michael. I need to feel safe in my own house again. And right now I don't feel safe with you here." He stood up, tears running down his face. "I love you, Mom. I love you too," I said. "But love without respect is worthless. And you didn't respect me enough to question what was happening. You chose her comfort over my dignity. I know. Go finish packing. Your 72 hours are almost up." He walked to the door, stopped. "For what it's worth, Dad would be proud of you, how you fought." My throat tightened. I know. After he left, I cried, for the son I'd raised, for the man he'd become, for the relationship we'd have to rebuild from scratch. But underneath the tears, I felt something else. Relief. My house was mine again. 3 months later, I stood in my backyard working in William's rose garden. The bushes were blooming again, red, yellow, white, just like he'd planted them 30 years ago. Rosa was back, tending the lawn. I'd given her a raise. "Mrs. Dorothy, the roses look beautiful," she called. "They do, don't they? William always said they bloom better when they're loved." My phone rang. Michael's name on the screen, his monthly call. "Hi, baby." "Hi, Mom. How are you?" "Good, working in the garden. You?" "I'm okay. Moved into a new apartment in Berkeley. Small, but it's mine." A pause. "I've been going to therapy, twice a week." "Good." "My therapist says I have codependency issues, that I let Amber manipulate me because I was afraid of being alone." "Probably right." Another pause. "Amber paid the first installment. $50,000. She sold her designer bags, her jewelry, her car." "Good. She's still got $77,000 to go." "I know. I helped her set up a payment plan. Not because I forgive her, but because it's my responsibility too. I signed those papers without checking. I let this happen." That surprised me. That's mature, Michael." "I'm trying, Mom. I'm really trying to be better." We talked for another 20 minutes. About his job, about church, about everything except when he could visit. When we hung up, I felt lighter, not healed, but getting there. 6 months later. Leonard's Legacy held its first workshop. That's what I'd named my nonprofit. Leonard was William's middle name. The legacy was protecting other elders from what happened to me. 20 elderly black and brown folks sat in the church community room while I told my story. A lawyer from legal aid sat beside me, explaining signs of financial abuse. "I didn't think it could happen to me," I told them. "I'm educated. I worked 45 years as a nurse. But it did happen, because abusers are smart. They prey on our loneliness, our trust, our love for family." An old woman in the front row raised her hand. "My grandson wants me to sign over my deed. Says it's for estate planning. But I'm only 72. I'm healthy." "Don't sign," I said firmly. "Not unless you talk to a lawyer first. Not unless you understand exactly what you're signing. Your house is yours. Nobody gets to take that just because they're family." After the workshop, people lined up to thank me, to hug me, to tell me their own stories. This was my purpose now, helping others fight back. William would be proud. 1 year later, anniversary of the trial, I woke up early, put on my burgundy dress, the same one from court, drove to the cemetery where William was buried. The headstone was simple: William Thomas Washington, beloved husband and father, builder of dreams. I sat on the bench beside his grave, the bench Michael had installed last month during his first visit back to the house. "Hi, baby," I said. It's been a year. The wind rustled through the trees. I kept our house. You know that. You were there, testifying for me. I smiled. Best surprise witness ever. I told him everything. About the nonprofit. About the 20 families we'd helped. About Michael's slow journey back to being the son I raised. He's coming for dinner tonight. First time in a year. I'm nervous. I touched the headstone. But I think I'm ready. He's changed. He's done the work. And I've healed enough to let him try. I stood up, kissed my fingers, pressed them to his name. Thank you for protecting me. Even after you were gone. I love you, William, forever. That night, Michael arrived at 6 o'clock sharp. He brought flowers, roses from the farmer's market, red, yellow, and white. Like Grandpa used to grow, he said. We arranged them in a vase together. Then I finished making dinner, fried chicken, collard greens, mac and cheese, cornbread. Soul food. The food of my history, my culture, my love. We sat at the table William built, the one Amber had tried to sell. This looks amazing, Mom. It's the same food I've always made, the same greasy soul food your wife complained about. Michael flinched. Ex-wife. Divorce was final last month. I know. We ate in silence for a while. Then Michael said, I met someone. Her name is Diane. She's a teacher. Elementary school. My heart clenched. Oh? I haven't introduced her to you yet because I wanted to ask first. I don't want to rush anything. I don't want to make the same mistakes. What's she like? Kind. Simple. She lives in a small apartment, drives a old Honda, spends her money on her students' school supplies. He smiled. Last week she asked about you. I told her about what happened. All of it. The good and the bad. She said she'd like to meet you someday when you're ready. What did you tell her? That my mom is the strongest woman I know. That she fought her own son in court and won. That she's building a nonprofit to help other elderly people. That she's my hero. Tears pricked my eyes. You said that? I meant it. Michael reached across the table, took my hand. I know I don't deserve your trust yet. I know I have to earn it back. But Mom, I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of you. I squeezed his hand. Then bring Diane over for Sunday dinner next week. Let's see if she can handle my cooking. Michael laughed, really laughed. She's going to love you. We'll see about that. After dinner, we sat on the porch. The same porch where William used to sit with his coffee every morning, where he'd watch the neighborhood wake up, plan his day, dream his dreams. Mom, can I ask you something? Always. Do you think Dad would forgive me for what I did? I thought about William, about the video he'd made, about how he'd tried to protect me even in death. Your daddy loved you more than anything, but he also believed in accountability. He'd forgive you, but he'd expect you to be better. I'm trying. I know, baby. I can see it. We sat in comfortable silence as the sun set over the neighborhood, over the house William built, over the life we'd made. Michael? Yeah, Mom. I'm proud of you, for doing the work, for facing what you did, for trying to change. He started crying. Thank you. Don't make me regret it. I won't, I promise. 2 years later, I'm 70 now. William's been gone 5 years. The trial was 2 years ago. My house is still standing, still mine. The deed is in my name, locked in a safe deposit box with copies given to Sam, to Francine, to my church. Leonard's legacy has helped 43 families fight financial abuse, 3 criminal cases, 12 civil suits, hundreds of consultations. Michael comes for dinner every Sunday now, sometimes with Diane, who turned out to be exactly what he needed. Grounded, honest, kind. They got married 6 months ago in my backyard, under the rose arbor William built. I wore burgundy to the wedding. Amber completed her restitution payments, all $127,350. She works at a call center now, lives in a small apartment, drives a used car. We've never spoken since the trial. I don't need to. The church ladies still bring me food sometimes. Rosa still tends my garden every Wednesday. Francine calls every morning at 7. I'm not lonely anymore. I'm surrounded by people who chose me, who respect me, who see me. Last week, a young woman came to my door, 28, nervous, holding a baby. Mrs. Washington, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm Keisha's niece, the one who bought your grandmother's china. I remembered. Keisha from the trial, the friend who'd lied on the stand. What do you want? She held out a box. Aunt Keisha died last month. Cancer. Before she passed, she made me promise to return this to you. She said it wasn't hers to keep. I opened the box. My grandmother's china. All of it. Perfect. She wanted you to know she was sorry, the young woman said. She said she chose loyalty to a friend over doing what was right, that she's thought about it every day since the trial. I looked at the china, remembered my grandmother carrying it through Ellis Island, my mother serving Sunday dinners on it, my own wedding reception. Thank you for bringing it back. There's something else. She pulled out an envelope. She left you this. Inside was a check for $3,200, the amount Keisha had paid, and a note. Mrs. Washington, I'm sorry I lied for Amber. I'm sorry I participated in stealing your family's history. I've lived with the guilt every day. I'm dying now. Cancer. And before I meet my maker, I need to make this right. Your grandmother's china is beautiful. It deserves to be with family. I hope you can forgive me. Keisha Brown. I stood there holding the note, the check, looking at this young woman with her baby. Tell your aunt. I stopped. Tell your aunt's memory that I forgive her, and that I hope she found peace. The young woman started crying. Thank you. Thank you so much. After she left, I unpacked the china, washed each piece carefully, set the table with it for the first time in 2 years. That Sunday, Michael and Diane came for dinner. We ate off my grandmother's plates. We drank from my grandmother's cups. We connected to history, to family, to everything that had almost been lost. Mom, Michael said, holding up his plate. I remember eating off these when I was little. Your daddy loved these plates, said they made every meal taste better. Diane smiled. They're beautiful, Mrs. Washington. Call me Dorothy, or Mom, whichever feels right. Her eyes filled with tears. Mom feels right. I'm 70 years old. I live alone in the house my husband built. I survived my son's betrayal. I won my dignity back in a courtroom. I'm not rich. I'm not powerful. I'm not famous. But I'm free. Free in my own home. Free in my own skin. Free to live the rest of my days on my own terms. They thought I was just a confused old woman. The judge disagreed. My husband disagreed. And most importantly, I disagreed. This is my house. The house I built with William's hands, and my money, and our love. This is my life. The life I've lived with purpose and dignity and strength. And I'm not done living it yet, not by a long shot, because I learned something in that courtroom. Something I want every elderly person to know, especially my Black sisters who've spent their lives being told to be quiet, to be small, to accept what they're given. Your age doesn't make you weak. Your years make you wise. Your grief doesn't make you incompetent. It makes you human. And when someone tries to take what's yours, your home, your dignity, your right to exist on your own terms, you fight. You fight with evidence. You fight with truth. You fight with the law. You fight with every breath in your body. Because you are not invisible. You are not disposable. You are not that old woman. You are powerful. You are worthy. You are enough. And your voice, your strong, clear, undeniable voice, deserves to be heard. I spent 68 years learning that lesson. I hope it doesn't take you as long. But whenever you learn it, remember this. It's never too late to stand up. It's never too late to say no. It's never too late to fight for what's yours. I did it at 68. You can do it too.